Welcome, everyone, to our latest episode of The Testing Room, where 2+1 of the gaming industry's best video game consultants who have never actually consulted on a video game bring you new topics each and every week. As always, I guess not always, I wasn't here last week, but as usual, I'm Alex, aka the Godfather.
I am Preston, a.k.a. Funkadelic Jedi.
And I am Travis, Judgment 03.
That almost fucked me up. I was ready. I was ready for Christian to say it. I was like, wait, and I'm like, oh wait, do I need to say it next? Okay.
I'm gonna pass judgment on you right now. Your camera is very good, and it's making us look bad. Like I have, I have all the equipment. Like I have green screens, I have halo lights, I have multiple things, but like I'm too lazy to set it up if I'm not working. But like you hop on here, Travis, and you just got like all the stuff going. You look great, and it's kind of annoying actually. So
I mean, I'm just literally using my iPhone as my camera, and that's it. That's literally it.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, Travis. He'll never be back. So there's that. Yeah.
This is part 2 of the Travis takeover.
It is.
Yeah, that's right.
It is part two of Travis takeover. So I guess we should address the fact that like 2 weeks ago we lied because we said we'll be back next week with our final part of Metro, and clearly that's not a thing.
Nope.
So it got busy. So we're doing another side quest this week where Christian is. What is Christian doing? Is he on vacation?
Yes. So Christian will be headed out. He is doing. I think they're going to do their anniversary vacation right now. Going up in the hills, I think is what he said.
Yeah,
he's
going
doing.
to the mountains.
Yeah, going
to
to
the mountains. I think in Denver. I think he said
Denver. That's correct.
To everyone out there, I promise we're friends, and I promise we talk. I know he's told us a bunch, but I just did not remember. I've been so stupidly busy recently. I've barely played video games, and Travis asked me, he's like, "Hey, where's Christian? Like, this is gonna be the second time I'm on the show," and so on. I was like, I think he's on vacation or doing a work trip. He's like, "Where's he going?" I have no idea. I know he's told me. I do not know. And I know Christian's going to be listening to this and be like, oh, he's going to text me immediately and be like, I've told you so many times.
Such good
You were on the call. Like, I know. I get it. I know. I just need to address that. So, but yeah, we're back with another side quest.
Yeah.
And we're going to jump in. This one's my topic this week. We'll jump in a little bit later, but before we do anything, as always, Preston will go over to you and, see what's going on in Preston's comment corner.
Nothing for the comment corner because we covered a comment corner yesterday, so I don't have anything new since then. I'm trying to think of anything. I mean, I'm sure Jake has something fucking cheeky to say, but other than that, yeah, we'll cover that on the next episode.
As we get closer to the holidays, can we, for the first part of December, can we call it the Hanukkah corner and then the Christmas corner? Can we, do it for the holidays?
Let's do different ones. Kwanzaa corner? I like Kwanzaa corner sounds really nice,
Kwanzaa corner actually flows really well. Nice. Yeah, that's fair. I would probably say, winter solstice corner doesn't work as good.
No.
But the others aren't bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too many syllables.
Wiccan's winter solstice corner, so
that's not bad.
Making it fair for everybody. Yeah. Not bad. So,
not bad.
Yeah, I'm sure Jake does have something snide or smart to say. Jake, just I'm sure you're gonna text us.
That's do it fine. Anyways. It's fine.
You'll do also, it another thing I'll address to the listeners out there.
I'm wearing your merch anyway, so you can say whatever you want.
I like that.
I support my friend.
I promise I'm also friends with Jake. And Jake, as you're listening to this, I promise all those texts from a week ago when you were listening to the podcast giving me crap for all the things I said about Halo and stuff, I read them. I also was just super, super busy and didn't reply. I promise I read them. I saw them all. I know.
I think Jake is probably aware now. He's probably known you for long enough to know that you saw a text and you just either you decided you were going to respond later and you forgot, or you just decided you weren't going to respond and you just walked right past it.
To be fair, I am very honest with friends and family that I am terrible about responding to text messages, and I tell them that. And look, there are as in our industry, we talk to people through partners and through email and text and stuff all the time, and I always have to ask, how do you prefer to communicate? And nobody ever asks me that. People just like to text, and I'm a terrible texter. So
would you prefer email if we need to reach out, or?
No, honestly, you should
send it by a pigeon.
You should probably call me, Travis. I answer the phone if you call me.
We'll do a conference call.
You do typically.
Talk to you,
I'll conference call all the time. Whatever. I won't be on camera necessarily.
No, yeah.
but I will talk all the time, which is weird because I actually hate talking on the phone. But if it comes down to like how much time am I gonna waste with my fat little thumbs typing on that tiny little keyboard versus just like talking out loud,
If you want an immediate
it's just
response
easier
from me, you should probably call me.
Oh, you and your toe thumbs.
Same way.
Club thumbs. They're not toe thumbs. Club thumbs.
Well, and I want everybody to know, obviously I work with Alex. We won't get into what we do, but he 100% shows up to conference calls looking exactly how he is right now. He looks like this on conference calls all the time.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm not going to deny it, but just the way you said that, like, I work with Alex, but I'm not going to get into what we do, definitely made it sound like we're either drug dealers or hitmen. And
well,
you
don't
just
worry
left
about
like,
it.
super vague.
Well, looking like you, we could be both of those things. You look like you're out to do some hood shit.
Yeah, people will hop on calls with me and they'll be like, "Oh, I take it you haven't showered this morning," because I like have a hood up and just like the lights are off in the room. It's like, no, I haven't. I've barely been up. I've barely had coffee.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is rude. It is
very
rude.
rude.
Thank you, Preston.
Rude.
It is very
What
rude.
would you say to somebody?
Exactly.
I take Travis says it to you. That's kind of you know him for a long time. But like somebody at work, fuck them, man. Like fuck you.
Yeah.
Like if I could say if it wasn't work, I would say I'm like, fuck you. Who are you?
Last year, I had somebody call me out. Last year, this one's valid, actually. The last year, somebody called me out on my holiday pajamas because I was wearing like a normal shirt.
Yeah.
But like we were on a conference call, so I didn't really care. And I just leaned back and like had my legs crossed, and you could see my knee like in the bottom corner of the video. They're like, "Are those penguins on your pants?" Like, yeah, I'm still wearing pajamas.
I guess the reason I said that is I wanted your listeners to know that the Alex they get here is the Alex we get at work. That's
it's the
what I was
same.
trying.
Yeah,
I guess that's the point I was trying to make.
I am the same always, for better or worse. Like I am the same person all the time.
If not anything, you're consistent.
I am. I'm consistent and I'm honest. So okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's enough. That's enough unpacking of my baggage. Let's dive into our weeks.
Yeah.
I'll go first if you guys don't care because my week's not super long.
Well,
This is like the
we all
busiest-
talked about our weeks yesterday, so ours are going to be very short as well. But I do got a little. I got a little bit. I made sure to have something for the table. So
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Good. Okay, so I'm gonna go first anyway. So, I have not played a whole lot. These side quests have actually worked out perfectly because I still have not finished Metro. So I'm gonna tell on myself right now. So this is giving me time. Like the longer Christian is on vacation, like spending time with his lovely wife, I actually have more time to play that game. And it's not that like I haven't wanted to. Excuse me. I love that game. I just haven't had a chance to actually finish it with all the work going on. The games I have played recently, though, I jumped back into Baldur's Gate because I need to finish it.
I'll say yeah.
And man, it's as soon as I hopped back in, it was so good, and it's just like riding a bike when it comes to fighting. I apologize if you hear my dog who has a brand new toy. So it's like riding a bike when it comes to the fighting and the tactics, but oh boy, like jumping back into like 3/4 of the way through Act 3 after about 3 weeks or a month, I was like, I don't know. I log in and I'm just standing in a room in front of like a hatch, and I'm like, I don't know if I've already been down there or if I haven't been down there. Like I have 3 people in my party, but I don't know what I was working on. I was like, this is gonna take me forever to figure out, and it did take me forever to figure out. But once I started rolling, it's great. I think I now have time to finish that game. And I don't mean like due to work or anything. I just think that I beat Spider-Man, which I don't think I've talked about, so I'll talk about that in a minute. And I beat Assassin's Creed and stuff. So like a lot of the big releases are done now, and I can go back to Baldur's Gate, finish that.
There you go.
I have to go back and at least play a little bit of Starfield for our Game of the Year conversation. There's some other things I need to go back to.
You might
so
not
this is the
have
time
to.
of year. I may not.
Give it a try. I would love to hear more of your opinion because you dabbled in like right at the beginning, like right as it came out, like you got like the day before to play like what you played like for an hour or something like that, and then you just haven't touched it since then.
Yeah. So this is the time where I go back and do stuff. I need to still do like I need to finish Like a Dragon Inshin, which I don't even know why I need to finish that one because I know it's not going to crack my top 10. So like I want to finish it, but I don't think I need to finish it by the end of the year. I just feel like I need to.
Did you finish Hi-Fi
What were you gonna
Rush?
say? Yeah.
Okay, I can't remember that. I've talked to somebody recently who hasn't. I couldn't remember if you or not.
Yeah, no, we talked about that a month or so ago.
Yeah,
I said like, hey, I finally went back and finished it. And it's great. So I jumped back into Baldur's Gate. I also naturally platinumed, did not go out of my way for mostly. I platinumed Spider-Man 2.
So
I had to get. To me, it's this guy.
No, fair.
And to me, and you, it would have been this way. So it's completely opposite from what I'm seeing, too.
The only one that matters is mine, because that's what's on YouTube. So he's there.
That's
just so you know.
So I platinumed Spider-Man. The only two achievements I had to look up, because like I knew what they were, but I didn't know where they were. I had to look up where to find Aunt May's tombstone, because like you have to pay her respects, right? You get the Miles one naturally through the story.
I'm assuming hers is nearby there.
It is. Okay. It is. I just forgot where that whole place even was. So I did that, and then I looked up the best way to do you have to fly from like one corner of the map to the other without like touching the ground or anything, which was actually really, really easy, especially when they're like, you don't have to actually go from one corner, you just have to go from that like zone. So you can be almost to the edge of the zone, and you only have to hit the tip of the other one, so it really wasn't bad at all. Otherwise, I got everything naturally, because I'm all about the collectibles in that game. They're pretty simple. But that game, I'm sure you guys probably talked about it yesterday, so I won't dive in too much to it.
No, we can talk about it. I mean, like especially with your experiences. I mean, we can regale you with ours a little bit. As a quick recap.
Man, those games are so good. They have so much heart in them.
Yes.
Like I absolutely love the story they did. I thought they didn't do anything special when it came to the take of like Venom, introducing Venom for the first time, how Peter interacts with the Black Suit. Like that was all the same that we've seen 100 times. However, I did like the cameo of another symbiote in the game. I thought that was great, and it looked great. They teased a third symbiote, which I assume we're going to get maybe some DLC or maybe the next game. So I was a little sad we didn't see that one, but that was okay. And Miles' story was great, and I think I texted you guys, Preston, especially more for you. But the stinger at the end of the game has me so excited.
Very cool.
About the next character they could introduce.
Here's the thing: someone like Christian is not going to know who the fuck that is or what's going on there. It's going to mean absolutely nothing to someone who isn't a comic book fan.
But it doesn't matter.
No, because someone's going to look it up and they're going to find out, and then they'll be introduced to this character, yeah.
But also, even if you don't know the character, I think it's going for a different demographic. So what'll happen is when the trailer comes out and you see that character in action, the demographic they're going after will go like, oh, cool, that's like something that represents me, and probably dive into it anyway.
I think
I love that character.
They may do the whole like Miles thing with that character. As far as like give them, without spoiling, give them their own like shorter, smaller, but still standalone. I think that'd be cool.
I think maybe Miles will take on the mentorship role and what have you. So I loved that. I thought the game was fantastic. It looked great. I did run into the white cube glitch a couple times. My character model just turned into a white cube, which I thought was hysterical. But otherwise, like I just switched to suit and it went back to normal. And the game was flawless for me. So absolutely loved it. Tight game. They keep doing good work. I just hope they keep that heart in their stories.
Yeah, for sure.
So
we talked about it yesterday, and we all kind of agreed it was a safe play for Sony, but I don't think that takes away from how good the game was. They definitely took the approach of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I think they build upon what they already had, established. One thing I wanted to tell you, since you had mentioned bringing up going and looking at the grave site for Aunt May and Uncle Ben, is if you actually go as Peter to Miles's dad's grave site, it will actually let you interact with it, and it basically says you raised one hell of a son or something like that. I thought that
would have fucking broke me.
Yeah,
that would have fucking killed me.
It's like because it's not part of like an achievement or anything. But when I was running around looking, because I didn't look up which one it was, I was like, oh, this one's let me interact with it, and then I did, and then I realized it was Miles's dad, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So it makes me want to go back and see to go as Miles to Aunt May's and see what happens. I haven't done that yet, but I just thought the fact that it lets you interact with it was pretty cool.
There were a couple of quests in that game, like side quests, that were super heartfelt, that were touching. I agree. It's interesting you say that. I think about Sony being a safe play. I agree. I think it was a safe play for Sony. I think, Insomniac did what Insomniac does, but for Sony's side of it, they knew they were going to end the year with a banger. And beyond that, I mean, you guys probably can think of one, but like, I'm not really sure what Sony had exclusively this year that was a standout, right? Like, you had a remake. You had, wasn't this year the year we had?
Well, they're the only
Dead
console
Space
version
remake.
of Baldur's Gate 3.
But it's on PC too, right? Like that's, I mean, like honestly, I can't think of like any other standout other than Dead Space remake they had because Callisto Protocol failed as
Final Fantasy 16.
16, okay, the great call, 16. But that's it. I mean,
other than that,
and Microsoft, and they may also be in the same boat, but for some reason, it just seems like a light year for Sony this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a light year for most. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is weird to say when the year's been stacked with games.
Yeah, right. Because those games have been on all of those platforms, most of those games. But just a few here and there that are just console exclusives.
Yeah. So that was my week. Okay. That's what I played. I'm gonna just reach over and steal this toy from this dog so it doesn't swallow all the parts. But whoever wants to go next,
go for it, Travis.
Go ahead, Preston. Oh, you may go?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, mine's obviously pretty light just because we talked about it. So, also beat Spider-Man. I actually started playing, went back to Baldur's Gate myself last night after we recorded, and then watched the 5th episode of Loki, which I don't think Alex has watched yet. So
no, so don't spoil it.
It's good.
We're going to try and catch up. We don't won't fully catch up tonight because I think we're 2 episodes behind, but we'll watch some tonight.
It's very good.
Yeah. Outside of that, I will say this week, one thing I forgot to mention is I actually went over to Alex's house on Halloween, and we handed out Halloween candy because Allie wanted to stay inside with the animals, plus it was a little cold outside. And I think I had maybe mentioned when we recorded that Alex and I played a little bit of this Ninja Turtles roguelike game co-op. It was pretty fun. We tried to play some GoldenEye over xCloud, but it wouldn't let us. It wouldn't let us play multiplayer online with each other. Yeah, not over xCloud. I think maybe if we were actually on consoles, it might have let us. But we were going to play some. Yeah, I was.
We had trouble locally too, because like I would plug up a controller and he would plug up a controller, and it would just take over and be the same controller. It wasn't like two profiles.
It makes me wonder if maybe you would have brought an Xbox controller and then I had a PlayStation one. They would have seen each other as different ones, possibly. Maybe that would have worked, but I don't know.
There's no way the fact we both had a PlayStation controller was the problem. That doesn't make any sense.
2 different Bluetooth signals too. So.
Yeah, I don't know. No, but regardless, I also tried to use that evening to convince Alex's neighbors that him and I were partners. Because they kept coming up saying, "Do you guys live here?" And then Alex would be like, "No, my wife's inside with the animals." But I was convinced that I was going to at least let one of them figure it out that we were partners.
You should have just made him believe that they're poly and that you were the other partner.
You know what? Yeah,
work on that next time.
Allie actually has. Yeah, like we're brother husbands, and Allie is like the main person of the household. That's what we should. That's what we should have figured out.
Brother husbands.
That's some glorious gemstones shit right there.
That is.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think Georgia would let us be brother husbands anyway. I mean, that's the Bible Belt. I don't think that'd be legal.
Tonight I got a new episode of Gen V to watch, and then also Upload to watch. Outside of that, I think that's it. The only other thing I got going on is I'm in the process of looking into all the things to build a RetroPie because they just announced a new Raspberry Pi is being released, so I'm probably going to buy that and do something with that.
And you're going to put all the games on there that you already own, right?
Of course, yeah, absolutely. I don't know why I wouldn't. I mean, that's definitely what I'm going to do, for sure.
Good.
But outside of that, I mean, that's pretty much been my week. After
Travis already owns a bunch of games on a drive and stuff, right? He's taken his old physical media and converted it digital, and digitally has quite a few hundred games.
Yeah. But outside of that, just going to the mountains this weekend myself, but only for a weekend. And then that's all I got. So over to you.
Right.
So real quick, let me ask. You're watching Upload season 3, right?
Yeah.
Is it as good as season 1 and 2? We love season 1 and 2. I just saw that.
I watched the trailer. It's got Robbie. It's got Robbie ML in there.
If you've never seen it, it's good. It's really good.
It definitely makes you think about what's going to happen in the future. Honestly,
the problem with all of these things, so like, there's new episodes, like just all these dumb shows, like new episodes of The Crown, new episodes of Upload, new episodes of all this stuff. The streaming services nowadays do the worst job at advertising to let you know the show you like is out. So then, like, you come to it late and they're like, oh, well, we're going to cancel after 3 seasons. Nobody watched. It's like, because you didn't tell anybody. Like, I just know Upload's out because I was on Amazon the other night turning on, like, a Thursday night football game and saw, like, Upload. I was like, oh, cool. Like, come on.
Did it not pop up on your, like, watch shows on Apple TV?
Mm-mm.
Oh, nope. That's weird. But yeah, it's pretty good. I actually thought season 2 wasn't that great, and I think season 3 is better so far than what I felt about season 2. So if you like season 2, then yeah, I'm sure 3 will be great for you. So
I thought season 2 was fine. It wasn't as good as 1, but it was fine. Yeah.
Yeah. But outside of that, that's all I got, Preston.
Okay. Well, I have played one new game since the past 24 hours. Last night, I really wanted to try it out. People have been talking about it like crazy. I have started playing Super Mario Wonder.
Oh.
So.
Is that the new one?
That's the new one. So that's.
Is it
I've been wondering about
that. It's been
that.
out for like a week.
Shh. Don't say anything. Allie's going to kill me if she knows I haven't bought it. Yeah.
So it's very, very good.
As Alex goes online to buy it right now.
I literally am. I'm going to have to. So I am literally doing that right now.
But yeah, I heard, I was going to try it out sooner or later this year because I definitely want to talk about it when it comes to Game of the Year. But everyone was telling me it's like one of the best 2D Mario games that we've seen since like Super Mario World. I said, hold up. You mean since Super Mario World 2? And I just, people are also saying it's very much like Super Mario 2 Yoshi's Island. Like all like the weird trippy stuff that happens, things like that. It's very creative. It's very inventive. And for the hour I've played with it, I can 100% tell you that this is very, very fun, very different. It's still Mario Overworld. You're choosing the levels you want to go to. You're going to those levels. You're finding collectible pieces. These are wonder seeds you're going. So that way you can go to the spot. There's some building in this section that's blocking you from the next section. You need 10 wonder seeds. It takes away the little piranha plants that's around it, and then you can go into that level. And it's been a lot. The hour I played was incredibly fun. So I'm super digging it. It looks super clean. All the new voices are there. There's only one thing that was super weird and off-putting. So like everyone like they'll do the yo like kind of like they'll do like the little like. Same thing, the Nintendo like voices, right? To where they always make a sound, but they never like do actual full dialogue. The same thing with Zelda, same thing with everyone else. Except there's like this flower that's in the ground every once in a while that'll just straight up speak like normal English, like "You're doing great. See you later." How'd you get up here? And I'm like,
yeah,
it's off.
You're like, whoa, that's jarring.
This is very jarring. Like, I get wahoos and shit. Like, I can handle that, but like all of a sudden I get this flower talking to me, which is fine. We're in the Flower Kingdom. I get it, but it's just pure like actual like English is coming out, and like there's like a little text bubble that goes above the dude's head too. So it's like that's the only like off-putting part right now I have. But maybe there's more of an explanation to who that is. But I love this game as far as it's that classic Nintendo thing of we're not gonna say shit. Like it's. You show up in the Flower Kingdom, you're just talking with Princess and the King of the Flower Kingdom, and then, Bowser's here, and he gets a hold of the Wonder Flower, and him and the castle kind of like mix in together, and he becomes this giant. It's this thing you see in the trailer, and then that's when he goes around the world and starts like contaminating it or like doing whatever he's doing with it with the Wonder Power, and that's you're gonna go and just doing cleanup at that point. But it's just like. Yep, that happens, and then he's like, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" And Mario's like, "Hey, I'm right here." And they're like, "Oh yeah, you are here. You want to help us out?" Like, "Hell yeah!" Mario's like, "That's what I fucking do, man. So what I do." Bowser shows up, kick his ass, tell him to go fucking home, and then I go to the next place, and he shows up again. It's just what I do. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of hidden secret stuffs that you wouldn't think, or wouldn't even like. It's nothing is super handholdy when it comes to those secret sections. Which is nice. Mm-hmm. Like at one point, like I just jumped a little extra high, and it's like, okay, you're in this extra section of this level. I'm like, that's fucking rad. And I'm like, I haven't had that since like the Donkey Kong Country games. Like it's been a while since I've seen like just those like secret little parts and areas that you see in the levels. It's been a lot of fun. So
can't wait. Did they keep it 4-player co-op like the last few have been?
Yeah, so like when you start up your campaign, it asks you how many players you want in that campaign. And then you can choose from all the usual like Mario characters. You got all the Yoshis and the Nabbit, which I guess is like the Rayman Nabbit thing. I don't know what the Nabbit is. It's some purple bunny looking thing with a little bag. But those characters can't die. So I was kind of disappointed in that because I didn't want to play easy mode, but I did want to play as a Yoshi. But Yoshi can't turn into the elephant or anything like that. So like anything that you do like to change up, Yoshis don't do that because like they can just do whatever the elephant does. So it's a lot of fun.
Is this a GameFly for you or did you buy it?
Oh, I bought it. Yeah, no, it was like I could have waited on GameFly, but then people kept talking up, and someone mentioned something about it being like Super Mario World 2, which is my favorite Mario game, and I'm like, fuck you. Done. Go ahead, just do it. That I knew it was gonna.
Don't regret that purchase so far.
Not it's a Mario game, man. It's gonna take a whole lot for them to fuck up a Mario game for me, and just me being a Nintendo fan, I am too.
I just bought it too. So
yeah, exactly. It's like what was
I think it's funny.
We had what was that the question that you asked Travis? I think it was like the last couple episodes ago. Is like, what's a game that you will buy sight unseen? Mario games. I will buy a Mario game sight unseen for sure. Just a little weird trailer, and I'm like, okay, 2D side-scrolling Mario. It feels very appy. Like, so it feels like it would be like, you ever played the Super Mario Run, that one app that had?
Yeah.
So it looks like that clean look, and it has like, just like the aesthetic of the UI and stuff kind of feels that way, but there's nothing microtransactional about it. There's nothing that feels like gross. It's just, they just put that aesthetic into this game to make it feel more polished. It's really nice.
What's crazy is like, that's not even the only Mario game that comes out this month. Mario RPG comes
Peach
out
one, yeah?
Yeah, the
like
remake.
2 weeks.
Yeah. I'm probably not going to be able to play that one this year, but yeah, it's a lot of games.
It's too many games.
Yeah.
It's too many games.
It is a wonderful game. Anyone who's enjoyed Mario, who loves 2D Mario, this is an easy sell.
Yeah.
Very easy sell.
I will say, before you continue with your week, I did look up the 13th Sentinels game, and it does look very interesting. The art style looks incredible, so that might be a purchase for me. I just have to decide if I want to play it on my Switch or if I want to get it on PS4 or PS5, I should say.
PS5. There are some combat scenarios to where I will be surprised if the Nintendo Switch can handle it. There's like one action. You've played it, right, Alex? To where like.
I have not. I know what it is because I watched Christian play it and I looked up some stuff. But.
So like the combat in there, like you'll find out for yourself. But there's like one attacker where you can do that just rains a whole bunch of missiles down, and there's so much going on the screen that on my PS5 there was chugging a little bit. So when I heard it was coming out for Switch, I'm like, oh my god, how is that thing gonna fucking handle that attack? Like, what's going to happen? And I've heard that like, it is like frozen games and stuff like that for people on the Switch. So I say PS5.
Okay,
so we'll stick with that.
Switch is about to get Hogwarts Legacy too, and man, that thing tried to kill my freaking.
Is it gonna
PC
look like Mortal
a couple
Kombat
of times? 1? I do. I mean, it can't be great, right? Like it almost killed my PC. So what is it gonna do?
I don't know, man.
Switch? I don't.
They're gonna do a cloud version, maybe the cloud version. Who knows? I think it's gonna do like a very graphically dumbed down version for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Super Mario Wonder is great. And then I don't have any other games. Obviously, Preston always be snapping. I'm still in the 90,000 of like the infinite ranked people. Because I told these people last time, Alex, once you get into infinite rank, they now rank you through all the people who are infinite. So like the more cubes you get, and then if you don't play, you lose your rank because people are getting cubes past you. There's one guy I watched, and he's like the top 5 during that time. And I love watching him play because he's getting ranked up. He's getting plays with those people in that top rank because they don't want to lose their rank, so they're always playing. Like you almost have to be a streamer, or have all the time in the world to be able to be like in the top 10. I'm top 90,000 something right now, and I guarantee you when I go to play later on tonight, like a couple matches, I'll be in the 100,000.
I downloaded Snap, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah. Let me know.
Yeah, I went through the tutorial today, but I didn't get time to actually play some matches. So this evening, that's what I plan on doing.
It takes a while to kind of get through it, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I was trying to look to see like how many players. Marvel Snap has about 11 million players.
Yeah.
On you have over like 60 something thousand active players on Steam right now.
Yep.
So with that many millions, you in the 90,000 is really good.
Not bad. Not
really,
bad.
really
so
good.
The nice part, what I loved about it, Alex, was that like when you get that infinite rank, it doesn't just start you off fresh at 0 for cubes. It accumulates all the cubes that you have made to get to infinite, and then gives you that as your number to start off with, which I thought was great.
Gotcha.
I'm like, oh, that's how many cubes I won, how many cubes I have gotten this entire month, which is really cool. But speaking about this entire month, let's see here. I'm going to try to do this. All right. So every once in a while, what they'll do is after like towards the end of the month, they'll kind of give you a recap, which I think is really fun. So this is my recap for the month, the battle recap for the Bloodstone season. My most played card is Sunspot. I played it 154 times this month.
It's a good looking card.
Yeah, it's nice. So these also, if I have a variant, it also shows me my variant. So this is the variant I actually have for Sunspot. Hulk was my must-be-your favorite card because I upgraded it 10 times. I just decided that I was going to upgrade him a whole bunch, so I upgraded him a lot. Cyclops is my mascot. He has my win rate of 75% when he's in my deck.
Oh, wow.
Forge, he is my most effective card. My win rate with him is 73% when playing him. And then I got She-Hulk. I have unlocked 36 new cards and variants this season. My dynamic collection now features 541 unique cards.
Damn.
So that's including all the upgrades as far as like splits and stuff I got with them.
That's
that is a She-Hulk I just recently got. I have that actually. I use the Art Germ She-Hulk as my actual card that I use, my variant, which is really nice looking.
Yeah, that one is the
Scotty.
Is it Ryan? Oh yeah, Scotty. I was gonna say Ryan Otley. It's not him. Yeah, he does all the little chibi type.
Yeah, so like there's a chibi section, but there's also just a Scotty variant they do, and he does more of a. It reminds me of like Peanuts or
it's Calvin.
Calvin and Hobbes.
Calvin and Hobbes.
His art reminds me a lot of Calvin and Hobbes. That's what it is.
He had a big run in Marvel a couple of years ago, and he did a ton of variants. And every time I saw it, it was like there was a lot of white space because the characters were small. They're good. Not my jam. Not my jam.
No, it's not really my jam, but it's a fun variant to have. But when you have an Art Germ version of She-Hulk, I'm gonna be playing that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, because that one's jacked. I've seen that one.
Yes, it looks very good. My lucky location is Fogwell's Gym. I won this location 75% of the time it appeared. Fogwell gives you extra boosties, so you get extra stuff when you beat it.
New boost goofing.
New boost goofing. I have seen Limbo the most this season, a total of 29 times. Limbo gives you an extra turn, so it gives you a turn 7.
Oh, okay.
Which is nice. My monster hunting team plunged into darkness and faced some fearsome foes this Bloodstone season. Your bravery shall be rewarded. Recruit over this is just trying to get you to buy more shit. I already have this variant.
But don't you get a discount, right?
No, you get if you buy gold right now, the first time you buy that tier, like if you pay $5, $10, $15, you get double whatever you get if you buy those tiers once.
Let's go.
So, may have dropped $15. That's fine, whatever.
Did you start that Only Hands yet? I told you.
No, not yet. I should.
So, okay, a couple things. First of all, do you have the card backs, right? The blade card backs?
Got the gold blade card backs. Yes, sir. That's what I really wanted this season. Like, I have to get this season. I really want this blade card back because Blade's one of my favies. But yeah.
Those are dope. Also, I fully support Travis's idea of Only Hands with you playing like over the shoulder playing Snap. That's a great idea.
Fingers. You just see my fingers the entire time.
Just your fingers moving around. Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice little manicure every once in a while, and that's it.
I treat myself.
Paint your nails.
It works for unboxers. It could work for you for sure.
That's true. Unboxers and boxers. That should be a YouTube channel.
I don't like that at all.
Can we start that as our like spin-off pod? Unboxers and boxers.
Unboxers and boxers. Forget those briefs. What are we, crazy?
But yeah,
you should definitely do Snap Hands.
Yeah, exactly. Other than that, not too much else extra. Still watching the same shows you guys are. Although I also been finished up Shoresy. The new season of Shoresy dropped recently. It's very good. Shoresy is very funny. It's a lot more heartfelt than I ever thought it would be, but it's very good.
I'm almost there. Season 1 only had like 7 episodes, right?
Yeah, they're very short seasons. Yep, like 6 or 8 episodes each. Yeah.
I think I'm on episode 5 or 6, so I'm either close to the end or at the end of season 2.
Very sexy.
Through it.
Yeah, it's a good show.
It is. So I didn't get into Letterkenny, and I know Christian. I was talking about Shoresy to you guys, and Christian's like, "Well, it's the same show, so you might as well watch Letterkenny."
It's not. It's like farmers and hockey players. There's a lot more hockey stuff in Shoresy's is like purely hockey for the most part, but like Letterkenny is more like farmer kind of stuff, and I think that's what probably turns you off. It's that, and that just seems to be more like running jokes. A lot more running jokes in Letterkenny, while there just happens to be jokes in Shoresy, but they don't run their jokes into the ground as much as Letterkenny does. I love Letterkenny. Also, final season of Letterkenny happens in December, so that'll be the final season as well.
The thing I like about Shoresy is like it's more of just the hockey team and what goes on in the locker room and that sort, right? Like the way guys, like simple dudes, just interact with each other, which is really funny. It did make me laugh, like the reasons why everybody wanted to come to Sudsbury. Just because, like, the ridiculous amount of beautiful women just for no reason in this, like, little dinky town which they play into. But yeah, like, that show is very funny.
It's very good.
Very heartfelt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun little fact, I remember when I was watching, I want to say it's the first new Godzilla movie, but the main guy, I think his name is Jared Kelso. He actually has a small little acting bit in there as one of the army guys. He's like at the table, just like talking about the strategy of taking down either the butterfly one or the Godzilla.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. Like, oh my god, Letterkenny guy right there. Wayne's right there.
Has he done other stuff, or is like that his jam? Just
pretty
like
much his jam. So he's the creator of Letterkenny and Shoresy.
Okay, so it's just like that observational humor of Canadian humor is all that it is.
Much, yeah.
Interesting.
It's good. Love that shit. It's good stuff. Good laughs.
Nice.
Other than that's it. That's my week. Past 24 hours.
All right. Well, if that's the case, then he was in Elysium. Weird. Okay.
Oh, was he? Yeah, I think he has like small parts and things here and there.
Yeah, weird. All right, I'll go into a IMDb deep dive later for no reason.
Yeah.
So, let's dive into my topic then tonight. So, for my topic, there's a little bit of a lead in, a little bit of a conversation that has to be had before we just get into it. Sure. So, I want to talk about Nintendo, and I thought this is a good topic, just because I know
as you all drop money with Nintendo.
Yeah, I know. There's some people out here that love Nintendo, and I just spent money with Nintendo.
I love Nintendo.
I'm sad. I'm a little sad that like I feel like this should have been a larger conversation. Maybe we should have waited just on like a huge podcast, had Jake and Travis and everybody on here, and Christian, because like I know Jake has very strong Nintendo and Nintendo opinions.
Me and Jake are like the same level of positivity with Nintendo, I would say.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting, but. When we grew up in like we grew up with video games. As video games changed, they moved from the arcade to the home entertainment system, and of course, like the big one many of us played was Nintendo. Yes, there was Sega, and Sega was fine, but for a long time, Nintendo was the epitome of games. They set the standards. They had the best games. They were reaching a little bit further when it came to innovation. I mean, like at the time, Zelda was unlike any other game out there. Mario has launched $1 billion industry and so on. That's only been propelled by Chris Pratt, and I can say that because Christian's not here to stop me. So like Nintendo was at the height of everything, and then all of a sudden, come PlayStation 2, and until now, Nintendo is still around, but Nintendo doesn't really seem to be the upper echelon of video games. And I know like. People, and this is why I say there needs to be a conversation, right? Because I want to preface, like, Nintendo sells a lot. Nintendo is the second most profitable gaming company in the world, behind Sony, right? So it's not to say that Nintendo doesn't sell stuff, but Nintendo definitely does not draw the media attention like the others do, right? Like, Nintendo is not frame of mind for a lot of people. As Travis said something earlier when we were talking, Nintendo's not the destination console. Like, many people have a Switch, but those people that have Switches probably also have other consoles at the house. Like, it's rare that somebody says, like, my only console I play on is Nintendo, but it's not uncommon for somebody to be like, I'm a PlayStation gamer, or I'm an Xbox gamer, right? So, Mike, our discussion tonight is going to be around can Nintendo get back to that point? And then if you were in charge, what would you do to change it, to help them get back there, right? So I'll just start this conversation off with your feedback on what I just said, because I know like it's loaded. And I'll also preface this conversation is going to revolve mostly around America. I get it. It's a different world when it comes to Nintendo in Japan, right? But like focused on America. So let's start with your feedback. Just like, what are you guys thinking right now based off of what I said? What are your opinions? How are you feeling?
Preston, I'll let you start because I know you probably already have a lot to say.
So when I'll let you I asked him this today, like, so what's the topic for today? And he let me know. I'm like, it makes it sound so negative. Like Nintendo is like not top dog right now, but Nintendo's top dog. Like you might not hear about it too much, but
I'm in the middle. So I'll be devil's advocate for both sides.
Right,
so go ahead.
Nintendo has the third highest selling console of all time, and that's this one. And the second one is them as well. The first one is PlayStation 2. So it's. I got it pulled up here if you want actual stats. Let me pull it up for you real quick.
Are those stats broken down between the geos, between America and Japan?
No, so this is a dynamic list, and this is for all over. This is not for specific regions. So the top three are PlayStation 2, Nintendo DS, and Switch. Switch has sold so far, according to the Wikipedia, around, let's say, 129 million. It's 129.5. Mm-hmm. The next system within this generation is a PS5 that has sold 41 million. So already Nintendo has like tripled that number as far as their consoles. And then you go further down there and you get Xbox Series S around like somewhere around 21 million. But Nintendo it has the name. They don't have to try too hard because everyone is going to get the Nintendo. Grandma knows what the Nintendo is. The 5-year-old knows what the Nintendo is because they know Mario. They love that shit. Sonic is now on Nintendo, so they know it even more now. So it's just if like your average daily Channel 2, Channel 5, whatever news, they might even cover a Nintendo game because they know it's going to be all right for them to cover. They know they're not going to have titties popping up on the screen on accident. Like it's not going to be controversial because it's fucking Nintendo, man. Like it's very good for everybody type of games.
To be fair, Nintendo and Switch drop if you break it down by regions. It is carried by Japan.
Is it?
Just so you know. Yeah, so if you break it down,
certain regions.
If you break it down by region, you have PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, Dreamcast all above the Switch.
The Dreamcast is above the Switch?
It is, oddly enough. Yeah.
I don't know about the numbers, but I believe you. Mm-hmm. What's your source? Cite your sources.
Oh, it is. Yeah, dude, my source is the most renowned source in Wikipedia. Yeah. No, but this is now, to be fair, they don't have like, this was the first year sales. So they don't have like of all time right now because clearly like Switch has probably beat it compared to the Dreamcast, but like it still changes over time. So like it shows units sold in America of the PlayStation 2 was 25 million. And then the Switch in that first year was 3 million versus like when you look at Japan, the Switch here October 29th of 2023, so the most recent figure was like 31.5 million. Mm-hmm. So like the Switch is very carried by Japan. And that's why I wanted to preface like I understand what you're saying, that Nintendo is massive. I even said, to the last numbers we looked, and this was, I think, a year ago, we were doing a story based on just, like, monetary value. Nintendo was second to Sony, right? So they're higher than Microsoft. They're huge. But they still don't draw the attention when they... like, because in my opinion, and Travis, I'll come to you in a second, and this is going to be so controversial, and I'm sure both Christian and Jake are going to
pitchforks ready
against... Yeah, I know. Even your sister's gonna come for me. I know it, which is gonna be so annoying. They're not doing anything. They're doing what Nintendo has always done, and I'm not saying that's the wrong way to go, right? And we'll get to our opinions on like what we would do in a minute. But Nintendo has always held steady, right? Like, it's my ball, and I'll do what I want with it. And if you don't like what I'm doing, then I'll take my ball and go home. So they don't give in to the things that other companies are doing. But with that, they're not doing the big acquisitions. They're really not changing their exclusives. They're not really going outside of what they do. Now, that doesn't mean they're not selling units, because they are, but that does mean that they don't get the attention that other people do. And, like, their last couple Nintendo Directs have been pretty lame. Like, they've just been, like, rehashes of things they've announced earlier. And I'm not going to say that I'm not looking forward to some of the games, but, like, they've been kind of boring, honestly. So, that's
Jake
what I mean by
wants your
this.
throat right now. I feel so bad for that last direct, because Jake's like, I want to hear what your guys' opinion on. We're all like, it was kind of boring. Jake's like, oh, I was really expecting, like, us to have a fun conversation. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. Like, I enjoyed some of it, but yeah, the overall feeling of that direct for the testing room was not the greatest. I mean,
like, to this point though, Preston, right? Like, sorry, I just want to say this. Like, I just bought this Mario game because I was reminded from you playing the Mario game that it came out. However,
you've been a very busy boy, to be fair.
Sure, but I was also there for day one for, like, Spider-Man. I was there to buy Baldur's Gate. I'm looking forward to in 2 weeks when The Man Who Erased His Name, like a Dragon, comes out and stuff. Like, Nintendo games to me sometimes just fall by the wayside, because there's going to be a new one. There's going to be a new Zelda. There's going to be a lot of Nintendo games, minus Star Fox or Metroid
or F-Zero.
But even
you were there on day one for Zelda, though.
Yeah, but that's also because it was going to be a game that I could play on my Switch, because that was the only thing I was taking to Japan, and I had a 14-hour flight ahead of me.
Okay. And you're going to Japan where it was made. Perfect.
And exactly, right? So, Travis, what's
a couple things. I think it all depends on what you chalk up to. Like, I understand what you're saying. Like, and I said it earlier. Like, I said when I play with friends, Nintendo is not the destination for that. Sure. Right?
Not
like their online infrastructure, the amount of games that they have that's meant to be played with friends, any of that stuff is nothing that I ever think about. Mm-hmm. However, when you think about from a business standpoint, if you take away, like, us as consumers, right? When you look at actual just publishing by the companies themselves, Nintendo blows everyone else out of the water.
They can, yeah.
So some documents that came out during the FTC and Microsoft thing. So during the trial where Microsoft was trying to acquire Activision, there was documents that came out to make sure that it wasn't a monopoly, right? Yeah.
Oh, sure.
So documents came out that the publishing of those specific, like, brands, so like Nintendo, EA, Take-Two, Nintendo was and I understand this is worldwide, okay? Mm-hmm. Nintendo was $5.18 billion. Next in line was EA at 4.5, then Take-Two at 2.3, and you're talking about, like, Grand Theft Auto, right? Numbers, yeah. Sony was 2.1 billion. Activision that has World of Warcraft, for God's sakes, or Activision / Blizzard, 2 billion. Then Epic at 1.7, which has Fortnite. Then Ubisoft, Xbox, and then Bandai Games. So, to your point, they don't have to do anything, because kind of the amount that they sell just with Nintendo revenue by itself of the games that they release, they don't have to do anything, right? However, with that being said, that doesn't mean that they should just rinse and repeat every single franchise or IP that they have. I think that's the problem.
How many of those publishers that you mentioned too, though, fall under one company, or will soon? Like, you have Activision, you have Ubisoft, like, they're publishers, but they actually fall under one company. If you add some of those up, Nintendo might actually have a race on their hands.
Well, now that so if you take the Activision and Blizzard that they did by themselves before Microsoft acquired them, that's $2 billion on top of Microsoft's 1.3. It still doesn't equal up to be $5 billion.
Sure.
However, with that being said, I think because of that has made Nintendo become complacent. I say all that to just say
agree with you.
That, like, to what we said earlier, to circle all back, Spider-Man was a safe bet for Sony. right? Mm-hmm. And I think that every time they release this Zelda, this Mario, they're all safe, but they're so profitable, right? Like, when's the last time you can say that you played a bad Mario or Zelda game? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that I don't agree with you.
Over 10 years
I'm not saying that I don't agree with you, that I think they need to do more than just give us like new versions of what already exists. But I'm saying I think they look at themselves and say, we don't have to. You know what I mean?
100%.
Because I think a few things that I'll say real quick is because of the type of... So if you look at Nintendo's business model, right? They do not sell their console at a loss out of the gate. Microsoft and Sony both sell their consoles at a loss, expecting to make that up with obviously services and games that they're selling you. Nintendo does not do that.
Yep.
So with that being said, I think because the Switch is what it is, it restricts them from having better relationship with third-party support because those games can't run on a Switch.
Definitely.
So there's definitely things, and there's definitely a discussion around what they could do to be better. But the problem is, because they're so profitable with their IPs, I just don't think they care. Because, like, if you look at their online service infrastructure, that has not been... Like, how easy could it be to partner with Microsoft and just integrate Xbox Live into it? Or say, hey, I know we can't play powerful consoles, but this is a destination where you can have xCloud service and stream those xCloud games to your Nintendo console. Those bridges aren't being built, at least that we know of. So there's definitely things that they could do, but when I look at the amount of revenue they're making from their own IPs... it dwarfs everybody else. I mean, EA is the closest, right? And we all know microtransactions and all that stuff that EA does. But like,
and soccer,
that doesn't mean they shouldn't do more. Their
monetary thing is from FIFA. So
yeah, I say all that to say that Nintendo probably looks at themselves and say we don't really need to do something, but I don't think that's an excuse. I think they should do more personally.
Well, and
so I see both sides.
But again, like, but everything you're saying, a lot of that is carried by that Japanese market. This would never happen, right? But like, just give a hypothetical. What if all of a sudden we stopped trade with Japan and you could no longer like get the games over here, whatever? Like, it's not going to hurt their business as much because it's all coming from Japan. But that's kind of my thing there. Like, if you look at America, we still buy their stuff, but it's not... They don't make splashes. You know, Travis, you said, like, they play it safe. And that is spot on. And I admitted, it's not the money thing. But, like, what can Nintendo do, or can they ever do something that gets them in the headlines, that people take them as seriously every time, like, the word Nintendo's thrown around? It's, oh my gosh, did you know Nintendo is doing this, Nintendo's doing that, to get people excited? Because when you look at the releases of this year, like, the notable releases... So you have a new Pokemon game, cool. You have a new Fire Emblem game, great. And Jake, that's not a dig, I'm just saying it's an existing IP, right? They're good games, I get it. You have Metroid Prime Remastered, Tales of Symphonia Remastered, Kirby, Bayonetta, another Pokemon game.
Kirby game.
Right, you have Pokemon Horizons, another one. You have Advanced Wars 1 and 2. You have Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 1 and 2 on Switch and 4. Then you have F-Zero 99 for Preston and the other 37 people playing that game. You have Detective Pikachu Returns,
98.
Super Mario Brothers Wonder, WarioWare Move It, and Persona 5 Tactica, and Super Mario RPG. Again, I don't expect any of those games to be bad, because Nintendo puts out solid games, but the net new, like, legitimately, out of that whole list of, like, notable releases, and just so you know, like, this is off fandom, fandom.com, but this is, like, the Nintendo page, right? So it's dedicated to Nintendo. The only net new is Persona 5 Tactica, and that's, like, a third spin-off to a game that came out, like, 7 years ago, right?
Pretty sure that's also coming out on other consoles, yes?
I think it is. Yeah, these weren't necessarily exclusives. It's just notable releases this year. So, and like Hogwarts, big game, but they're getting it this month when everybody else has gotten it and beat it in April or what have you. So it's just one of those things where, like, I love Nintendo. I love Monster Hunter games. I love Zelda games and stuff, but they're always safe. And when you look at the console, the reason they're not selling their console at a loss, which is a great business model, by the way, so I'm not hitting on them for this, but they're doing that because the quality of their console and the performance it produces is less than what the other things are producing, right? They're not the same 4K. They're not the same ray tracing. They can't pump the same graphics. There are games they don't get at the same time because your console just flat out can't handle it. And, like, that's a shame. Like, I would love to play the Switch more. It's just one of those things where, like, you just don't. You know?
Yeah. Well, oddly enough, I was looking at this article, and I don't know how this probably won't come through, obviously, so I'm not gonna bother sharing my screen. But I'm looking at revenue from 2016 all the way up to 2023 for Nintendo revenue total. Mm-hmm. Oddly enough, in 2021, revenue they led revenue in the U.S. And then in 2022. Also, the U.S. led revenue, and also 2023. Japan is actually third in Nintendo revenue. Europe is after us.
I'm pretty sure.
That's not fair though, because in 2020 and 2021, PlayStation 5 was still having chip constraints and still was not able to be purchased. Just playing devil's advocate on that.
No, I'm just saying from Nintendo in general. So you're saying because we couldn't get PlayStations, people just settled for Switches?
No, I'm saying that, like, their revenue would be higher because people could buy them. Like, you still could not buy a PlayStation at all. Like, you just couldn't even find it. So, of course, their revenue is going to be lower in those years because it just could not be purchased due to the chip shortage.
Well, get good PlayStation. That's what I'm saying.
Well, all I'm saying is if I want a PlayStation, I'm not going to settle for a Switch. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I was like, if you really want a PlayStation, the Switch is like a big kick in the balls.
No, I get that. You're not going to settle for a Switch, but if you are going to buy both, you could go out tomorrow and buy a Switch. You may not be allowed to buy your PlayStation for another 8 months, right? Like, that's all I mean by that. Now, with that being said, too, parents may look at that different. If you're looking for a kid, and if your option is $500 for one, $200 for the other, one can't be purchased, the other can, you might buy the other. But that's my only comment for PlayStation. Like, they were at a constraint.
Sure. And also, like, think of the people, like, anyone that I know who is like I hate saying the word casual gamer. Like, my cousin who doesn't play video games very often, but he does like a video game every once in a while. He gets the Switch because that every once in a while game is going to be Zelda. That's going to carry him for 8 months of this year. Or like the Mario, it's going to carry him for another 5 months or something like that. To where it's like he doesn't need games like we do, to where we play over a dozen games a year, and we're having a hard time figuring out what our top 10 games is. He'd have a hard time putting up top 3 games because he's probably only played 1 or 2 games this year. But Nintendo is just that one thing to where he knows he can get it. He knows there's going to be Pokemon or Mario or Zelda or something coming out that year that's going to be enough for him, and he knows that's going to be good. Like, same way with Call of Duty people. Like, they used to get a PlayStation, now they're going to start getting Xbox because of the whatever things that they get with it and Game Pass and shit.
So I was going to ask you, do you think your cousin and people like your cousin outweigh the casuals that just do like Call of Duty, Fortnite, Madden?
So he is also one of those guys too who like just did Call of Duty with his college friends. Now it's just, I think it's more or less now to where he doesn't like really play games online, which is why he's on the Switch, because he doesn't have to worry about, he doesn't care about going online and playing Call of Duty or anything like that. He wants to have just, if he wants to, like, he owns his own business, so he just whips out his Switch, plays Zelda for a little bit, and then when he has to go do work, he can put it down and not have to worry. He can pause it, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what do you, well, let me ask you, I mean, what do you think Nintendo needs to do to, I guess, fix the issues that you see?
I can guarantee you I have no answer for that.
So if we look at, So if we look at, like, if we turn our attention, again, it's not the revenue thing. I know they make revenue.
Sure.
They just don't make splashes. When a Nintendo announcement comes up, we are perpetually disappointed because it's not a new console and it's not like new games, right? Or the games that people really want, especially for Preston. I get you got one game, Preston. You got F-Zero 99, and that's been fueling you for a while. But you don't have half the games
like Tears of the Kingdom. Like that,
you don't have half the stuff you really want. Sure, Tears of the Kingdom. Shit. It's probably going to win Game of the Year, or it's going to sweep a lot of awards, right? I'm not to say that game's bad, but like
it made a splash.
That's all you're hanging your hat on, right? Like there's not much else.
On Spider-Man? We just talked about this.
Sony's coming out with a new handheld, like it or not, and Sony has a brand new streaming service to allow you to play. No, that's legit, right? Like you can play your games wherever you are as long as you have Wi-Fi, albeit
there you go.
The PAL versions, right? But again, they're doing stuff. Microsoft is pushing forward with a streaming service. Microsoft is trying to push forward with acquisitions. Same with Sony and coming out with like unique new IP with Starfield and so on. Like Nintendo does none of that. So
Splatoon?
What do I think? And here's the thing. Sometimes they do that, but they do it in a way that they either don't tout or they don't let live up to the full potential. And so I'll give you an example. Like I think Nintendo needs to be more innovative.
Sure.
Now I do think
but then you get the fucking waggle again, man.
I was gonna say there's tons of innovation in the past, right? And I'm sure as soon as I say that, Christian's like they're all kinds of they're really innovative. The Labo is really really smart,
yes,
right? But it's
mind blowing to people.
It's what you can do with it. It's not really like something that they invested in. They said, hey, here's this cool technology and like go have fun and make your own stuff. But like they could have done more with Labo. The Wii was super innovative and the Wii Fit was super super cool. But like they're always held back by the quality of their console. Like how could you have used some of that technology with better games, with more innovative games, with like better looking games? They have the little things on the Wii where you could like, you know, have a fake little gun, not anything that looks like a real gun, but just like a controller to where you could aim and pull the trigger on a screen or shoot a bow. They had one for
the crossbow
Zelda. But like it was such a shit experience. But if you had more people adopting it, like what could that have been? And how could that have worked in other games that weren't just like pulling your bow back in Zelda? So I'd like to see them be more innovative. On top of that, I personally would like to see them invest so much more in their online presence. Like,
yes, I would 100% agree.
Let me chat and have a party with my friends, right? Like in a simple, easy way. Let me have like some games that I can stream to other devices or even to this. Like it is a portable handheld. Why can I not just stream games to it without having to pay for an SD card? And you can say like, oh, you have to buy an SD card. It's like capitalism, baby. But like, that's not the case, man. Just why can't I stream to it? I'll pay for your service, which will get you more money over time than that one little SD card is going to get you. I think they always play it too safe, and they say like, this is my ball. You can play with my ball, but if you want to change, I'll just take it and go home. And if it were me, I would do things differently. And I think if they did things a little differently, if they went out and they started working with those other third-party publishers to say like, let's show what our consoles can do. Come make games for us day one. And maybe they invested in pushing the boundaries a little bit of better graphics, it would just be something fun, new, and innovative. It would turn the Switch into that destination console and not just the one that plays games when I travel beyond 4 hours. Because my Steam Deck can do everything else, right? Like,
yeah. Preston, what do you got? I'll let you go.
I think, Travis, you hit it like really well to where it's like they don't feel that they have to do a whole lot because it's Nintendo. When they put out a Zelda, it's the highest. I'm pretty sure when I checked it, it's like the highest selling game this year already. So and then Mario's going to sell fucking gangbusters, especially when the holiday comes around. Every kid's going to get that new Mario game, almost guarantee, unless they have crappy parents.
And they'll have a bundle during the holidays, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. So this has been the issue I've had with Nintendo since the Wii, is that they know they're going to make gangbusters on their one or two IPs that they push out that year. Same thing what Sony's doing nowadays. We can't even talk about Microsoft because they put out meh IPs outside of Hi-Fi Rush. If we're not talking about Hi-Fi Rush this year, what they had Redfall, game's fucking garbage. So, and Starfield, we're all kind of meh on it. And it's a fucking Bethesda game. So Nintendo knows that they, like you said, they make money on their consoles. They're not taking out a loss, so all they got to do is pump out 2 really good Nintendo games, and then everything else can fall by the wayside. They're still doing really good. I mean, people might talk shit on their versions of those retro games they have on there, but guess what? They have them on there, okay? They put Harvest Moon out there. You don't have to pay over $100 for a retro version of it or go to some pirated website and get a virus and malware just to play Harvest Moon. You can now play it on your Nintendo Switch. Like, they're doing good strides toward that. Now, I would love those games to be better. They would definitely be nice emulations that already exist out there on the PC realm. But they're trying a little bit with that, like retro, kind of bringing those games back so that way you don't have to go fork over, an arm and a leg just to play the game that you loved 30 years ago, right? So I think they're doing a lot better with that. They used to be really good at doing, they were getting better, as far as the online play when it came to like the Wii U. I think the Wii U was trying to go do a little bit better with that. Like that's where we got Splatoon. That's where they did the whole like the Wii-verse or the Me-verse or whatever, to where everyone was doing like their little like drawings and shit like that. Mario Maker, where everyone was getting together and playing their Mario games. Like, yes, there wasn't like really voice chat for that, but they were trying with their online on that console. And it just sucks because that was probably like one of the least selling Nintendo consoles all time, probably, if I look back at it. Because it's just, there's certain parts of that console that weren't great. They didn't support it as well as their other consoles, I feel. But I think they could do it very well. But like Alex was saying, they need to step up their game. And from what the rumors are right now is that the next Nintendo console is going to be on that level of PS4, Xbox One, which is good. I'm glad they're getting to that level, so that way something like Call of Duty can be on there without a huge downgrade. And then you can just integrate that. Like, okay, well, we also have the Call of Duty. We also have the NBA whatever. We also have Madden. Things like that, to where it's like, okay, those games that you went to PlayStation and stuff like that for, you can get there too. Or like whatever, like the nice third-party game comes out, like, hell, it's not going to happen, but like, let's say they had a console that was actually performing well as far as like actual performance, and they could get the Baldur's Gate 3. They could do things like those like big highbrow games that are going to everywhere that just can't go to Nintendo right now because the console can't handle those games. And they can't play those games. Or if they do play them, it looks like shit, like fucking Mortal Kombat 1 does, and you get laughed into the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that experience. Oh, go ahead, Alex.
Okay. I was just going to say, to be fair, like, when you say that a lot of the exclusives right now in Microsoft kind of suck, like, I know some of them are kind of middling, but they do have good exclusive IP, right? You have the Plague Tale series,
there,
you have the
Gears of War
Hellblade
there.
Senua.
Yep.
But, like, the thing with them is, sure, I have all the great exclusives, but say I'm going to buy 2 of those exclusives for $60 a pop. Well, I could just buy an entire year of Game Pass, and now I actually have like a lot of top tier games, and they're not just old games like Nintendo is doing for like their it's new stuff, right? And
like
it's
the Yakuza game,
stuff.
I think is going to Game Pass and shit like that too. So yeah,
all of them are on there right now, like all the Yakuza. But like you also get some of the indie games on there too, which are huge around Dredge and other stuff, and they come there first. So like I agree that Microsoft's console or exclusives are kind of middling right now, but at least you have another supportive service that gives you a lot of top tier AA and AAA games that Nintendo doesn't really have, right? Like you're buying all of those games. And think about the service Nintendo could have if you could charge the same price, $120 a year, $150 a year, maybe $15 a month. But if I could have all of those IPs on a streaming service day one, if I could have the Zelda day one, if I could dabble in the 6 Pokemons you're going to release, because I'm not going to buy all 6 of them, but if I could dabble in them from your service.
You couldn't even get Christian to buy that Pokemon game this year.
And you have a lot of value to offer if you were just willing to like do it. And then if you went further and brought in the third parties, right? If you're getting Call of Duty over there now, great, Call of Duty is there and Hogwarts is coming. But like if you started partnering with those to have them on your service too, like the other big 2 do, like you would have the best value of anyone.
Yeah.
Sorry, Travis.
No, you're good. You're good. I got a lot to say, but I'll be quick about it. So
you've got plenty of time.
I think it all kind of starts with me. I feel like they're really...
It all starts with you. He is the key to this whole thing. He will make or break Nintendo moving forward.
No, I really think that like they hamper themselves by the underperformance that is in their console, right? I think I alluded to it earlier, right? Because like I think having more third-party support would help draw in, and this might be a hot take, and for Christian and Jake, I'm sorry, but it's just how I feel. The last time that I considered Nintendo in the same realm as Sony and Microsoft, when I could really feel like I could play anything on any console, was GameCube.
Yeah.
because at that point they were releasing pretty much all titles across all platforms. Like I played Time Splitters on PS2, then I played the new Time Splitters when it came out on GameCube. Same thing with Resident Evil. Resident Evil 4. Dude, now there may have been slight
GameCube had
graphical
bangers.
Did?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like GameCube, out of all Nintendo consoles other than Super Nintendo, because like that just has a special place in my heart. Like GameCube was by far my favorite one, and they had a exclusive, and Christian knows this because they had an exclusive Metal Gear Solid game that was the PS1 version remade with better graphics.
Twin Snakes.
And like Twin Snakes is by far my favorite Metal Gear Solid game in the entire franchise. And you best believe when they did this whole collection that's coming out, that is not included, which breaks my heart. But anyways, I think it all comes down to hardware, because I felt like after that, that's where they kind of got left behind hardware-wise, was after the GameCube. Because pretty much the Wii had the exact same hardware as the GameCube, except it had Wii Motion essentially, right? Like, and then once you got the, God, what was the one after it? God, I'm blanking.
Wii U?
It was the Wii. Yeah, Wii U was basically a better version, but basically it was on last generation's console for like PlayStation and Xbox at that point. So
at that time,
hardware-wise, they just fell behind.
They're splitting themselves because they sent with the handheld. They had handheld and they had console. They're trying to balance, and that just didn't do well, which is why the Switch is doing so well this generation. Yeah.
But so I think it all comes down to if they could be more competitive hardware-wise. I'm not saying they need to even be on the same par, like be on the same level as like Sony and Microsoft when it comes to that, but if you can at least be somewhere in the atmosphere, right? Like, I think that would bring in more third-party support, which I think in its own will help. But when you do that, when you bring in more third-party support, you also need to have the online infrastructure to support actual online service, playing with friends, bringing in cross-play, right? Because that's something that's gotten better over time. Like, you don't necessarily feel like you have to be left out if I have a PlayStation and my friend has an Xbox. Like, most games now are cross-play, or at least cross-save. But I think it all starts with advanced hardware. I think will help. To Alex's point that he made earlier about, I think Nintendo could stand to have some exclusive partnerships with other people outside of themselves. I think that would help. But when I feel like if I'm a developer and I am going to say I'm going to be tied to Nintendo, I already feel like I'm in a box for what I can make just because of the power of the hardware. You know what I mean?
But then,
well, and the company, like, you can't be, and not to say that games need to be adult or push the boundaries, but like you're already catering to some of those things. So like a Persona, right? Persona 5 had very adult themes in it, though it was kind of a young teen to everyone game. But like Nintendo's probably not letting that fly. Right?
I was surprised
Your first boss is not going to be a little
penis
monster
honestly.
Where the coach like has, you know, some inappropriate dialogue and situations with the students. Like this, they're just not going to let that go.
They're very weird
so
on what they allow, because like they had Resident Evil 7 was, it was cloud version, but they still had Resident Evil in there. So like they'll let them, you know, those like weird like anime panty games. Like they have weird fucking stuff.
You can be on it. You can be on their service. But to Travis' point, if you decide to be a developer for them,
specifically
they're going to lock you down.
But there's
you're going to lose that capability.
Yeah, I mean I've seen them have that, but Nintendo does try to be a little more PG. Or PG-13 at least.
And that's actually, that was actually my next point, is more mature titles, because I feel like if you allow that, then you're going to actually diversify like the people that are actually coming to your consoles.
Zelda doesn't need to chop off heads, but you could have the next Resident Evil in the console or something like that. But it's
right.
I was going to say, as far as like when you guys are talking about like different companies coming in with them and like being worried about doing exclusively for Nintendo, like we can slightly shut that down a little bit, being like, look at Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter, it does World on the consoles, but can easily do Monster Hunter Rise on the console, do a game and perform wildly better than you would think it would on that console. It's just, I don't know if like maybe the other companies don't know how to access the power of the Switch, or at least be able to make games of that ilk, like that quality, that look that good, perform that well, and make you believe that it could be as just like PS5 game as well if you wanted it to be.
Yeah,
I don't. So I love that Monster Hunter game.
Yes,
this is not a knock on the game, but I'm gonna go look at it right now. I don't think they went with the quote unquote like realistic look. I think that game went a little bit more cartoony than World did.
I think it was like the dumbed down graphics for sure. Like it wasn't as good, but like I mean, like when you look at the difference between World, like if you put them side by side, you will 1000% see a difference. Like it will be very noticeable. But I mean, you don't notice it when you play it though.
Right, that's fair.
It still
was
looks
gorgeous
good
on Switch.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like there's certain type of genres that I get into. I can overlook like graphics, but there's just some games like that I play that I just want to be immersed in, and sometimes I just feel like I can't get that experience. Like if they were to release the same game on Switch and then also PS5 or Xbox, like depending on the game, like I'm going to choose that just for the fidelity alone, depending on what type of game it is.
Mortal Kombat. I mean? That's like the
the biggest shiny times. Yeah, and there's been times that I've chose to play in handheld mode because I know that when I dock that Switch and it pulls up on my 78-inch OLED, it's going to look like hot garbage. You know what I mean? But on that smaller screen, I can kind of fool myself. You know what I mean? The last 2 points that I wanted to, well, three last points I want to make just real quick. So I think they need to be better about having global marketing campaigns. To Alex's point, I don't think they're outside of Nintendo Direct. Like, when's the last time? I mean, how often do you actually see advertisement for Nintendo? Like, whether it's like on YouTube or watching videos online. Like, I don't see it very often.
Yes, they do it because like you have the Nintendo advocates who are in there in the gaming section. They'll bring the console for you to play. They don't advertise it very well, but they are there. They're at conventions. Like there was the Pixel. I can't remember the name of it. It's Pixel something. It's in St. Louis. It's like a gaming convention where all the indie games come together, like people locally and stuff like that too. Show off their games. Yeah. Nintendo will have like a small little booth there of like an actual representative that they send to like show off like the latest Mario Kart fucking courts or something like that. Or like maybe some like small indies that are coming to like Nintendo they'll put out there too. But it's just, you're all right. They don't put themselves out there as much, and they definitely don't advertise that they're at those locations.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I've definitely seen Nintendo reps inside of certain stores that I've been within, and they're always super chill and very informative. But like outside of that, like TV ads and online stuff, unless I'm specifically on a gaming site, I don't typically see it a whole lot. One other thing is with the Switch obviously being a mobile console, and with their games being like, I know obviously Pokemon Go is a big deal, but I feel like if they had mobile integration between, like, if they had mobile versions of apps that tied into physical games that you were playing on the Switch, so you could take part of it with you, do some stuff, and then when you come back, because I remember, like, Blizzard worked that into World of Warcraft for a while, that you could run missions essentially on your mobile app, and then that would tie back into your real game. I know that they obviously can't.
I'm going to go further on that one, Travis, and just say, let me have a way I can stream my stupid Switch to my iPad. I can do it with PlayStation, and I can do it with Xbox. There's no reason you can't do it.
I think you were inside my mind because the last point I had was specifically cloud gaming. Because to your point, like I would pay $120 a year if I could have access to a certain part of their library, and I could either have a time trial on certain games that I would have to buy at some point, maybe at a discounted rate, but I could at least try them out. Or if I could just straight stream them over the network directly to my Switch, I think cloud gaming, especially because if you do the cloud gaming, and we've seen it with like Chromebooks and other things that are underpowered, like you can get some really good quality games being streamed over the cloud as long as you have a decent network card in it, right? And you honestly could probably play games at a higher quality rate than the Switch could natively run if it was streamed over the cloud instead.
And you could think about this too, right? When it comes to the cloud streaming, you could even go Nintendo Premium if you wanted and charge $20 a month, like match whatever Sony's highest version is, because at the end of the day, Sony and Microsoft still don't have like all the big AAAs because they're not exclusive, right? So like you'll still have to buy a game for $60 and pay their service. But if you count Nintendo's IP, all the existing IPs we said that were like notable releases this year, everything's like Switch only. All those Pokemon, all those Zeldas, all those Kirby's, all those the one Jake like Fire Emblems, like all this stuff is Nintendo only. So you could have all of that like on there. The value there would be incredible, and they could all be day one because they're not cross-platform. So you could put them on your streaming service, and then you could charge a premium.
Yeah. I think a perfect partnership for them, and I just don't think it would ever exist, but to get around like partnering with Sony and to get around partnering with Microsoft, if they could somehow work out a partnership with GeForce Now, I think that would be huge. If I could stream PC quality games to my handheld over the network, like that would be phenomenal. I mean, you could do it with a $200 Logitech handheld console that its sole purpose is just cloud gaming, right? But if I had a Switch where I could play on-device games and also have access to like hundreds of PC games, and maybe there's a trade-off. Maybe Nvidia says, hey, we want to be able to stream Nintendo games and be able to have those played on PCs. I don't think that would ever happen, but that would definitely put Microsoft and Sony in a position of like, not great standings if you could have, be able to do that. But that was the last point that I had around what they could do.
The point to your handheld is a good one too, and it's what I've been thinking of for a little bit, which is like, say the next Switch 2, the Switch Pro, the not called Switch, whatever the next handheld is going to be. If it matches the PS4, the question is like, so what? You're still behind, right? And right now it doesn't matter. Like, people are still going to buy that like crazy, but we're getting to the point where the handheld market is getting really, really popular with the Steam Deck, with the Asus, with there's like a Lenovo one. There's all kinds now, and I know they're not all great, but some are. So the question is going to be, then are you going to have a underpowered handheld in the Switch? And then you're going to be like, oh, but you can dock it. It's a console. Right, but it's also an underpowered console at that point. And I feel like if you want to stay up with the game over time, you're gonna have to be like current in one of those things. Either we're a top handheld that can also be docked as a console, or the top console that can be taken on the go. Because you're getting to the point now where like even your freaking phones can play games at higher resolution and better quality than the Switch can, right? Like Resident Evil just released on iPad, and my iPad has a better screen than that Switch does, and like that sucks. I mean, I don't want to game on my iPad. I would rather game on my Switch if I could.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, you saw me pull up Divinity 2 on my iPad, and it's like the full-blown game. But if I have Divinity on Switch, and if I pull it up, it's almost unplayable because it's so blurry. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a night and day difference. Like, if I play it on my iPad, it almost looks like the PC version. Like, it's unreal. But... and I also think one of the things I was really disappointed about by Nintendo that I think they could get better at is when they did their mid console life like upgrade. They did OLED but nothing else. Like that would have been a great opportunity to maybe have a bump in specs, but it was nothing. You know what I mean? Like it was just here's an OLED. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have the OLED Switch and it's beautiful and I love it, but like. You're still limited by the power. Yeah, it might be brighter and have better color saturation, but it just, and sometimes it points out flaws more just because it tends to pop more. You know what I mean? So,
if Nintendo is being saved by the fact that right now, in my opinion, again, I know they make a ton of money, but like they're kind of saved by the fact that Sony is so stupid. Like, if this handheld wasn't a local network device only, that's a big deal. Now you have that online service, your PlayStation has great exclusives, it's a popular console, and then if you had that better screen and everything, like, that's scary. Luckily, Sony's fucking stupid and said you can only use us to play in your local network, and like you saved yourself. But all it's going to take is somebody to change that, or a Microsoft to come out and say, our service, we're not making handhelds, but our service can be played on all of your smartphones, all of your tablets, all of your computers, and we partner with somebody else. Like, well, then they're going to take off, right? Because they don't care about hardware. They just want the service. So Nintendo, they're not lost because they're very focused. Like, they know this is what we make, this is what people buy, and this is what we're doing. But it seems like there could be the potential, if somebody else breaks through into Japan, if Microsoft broke through into Japan, if Sony started getting bigger because their consoles or whatever more affordable, like Nintendo could be at a real disadvantage if they don't acknowledge what the market is doing or acknowledge what the industry is doing.
Yeah, especially with the rise of these these PC handhelds. To your point,
yes,
like
100%.
Would it benefit them to have an avenue that people can get Nintendo games on those consoles, even if it's just cloud versions, even if they want to like let you buy it through Steam or buy it through them directly, like being able to stream Nintendo games to those PC handhelds, like
Well, now you pretty much got anything on the. You can pretty much get like not anything, but like you can get most things on your Steam Deck now. Like it's PlayStation's putting their games on PC now. Like it's not day and date, but a year later you're gonna be able to play Marvel Spider-Man 2 on that Steam Deck. It's gonna be fucking flawless. It's gonna look nice. It's gonna run well, and it's gonna be like it spits in the face of Nintendo. Like what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
If the Steam Deck can do it, what are you doing?
Yeah,
And yeah, Microsoft like going towards JRPGs, Microsoft signing deals with like Atlas, right, to get their games there. Like that's another big hit. I think it's a bigger hit towards Sony, and we've talked about that.
Sure.
But like it's still Japanese companies that make games that could be at home on the Switch, and they're not, right? Just because like you're so focused on the stuff you're making.
yeah.
So anyway, any final thoughts on that?
Do you think we'll ever see a Microsoft or a Sony theme park like we did Nintendo Land?
Maybe Sony. If the Nintendo's pops off, I think you can see a Sony, but it'll be more like a Universal. Be kind of more like Universal Studios. A little more gritty. No, Nintendo Land's like Disney. The Sony one to be like Universal.
I do have a question.
Although I do believe that the Nintendo is it not Universal?
Oh yeah, it doesn't
Is
like
it not Universal Studios Tokyo?
I think it's like right next to it or something like that. But yeah, I don't remember.
I actually, real quick, Travis, I actually agree with Preston on that one. I think that Japan is like, they're the home of the theme park. Walt Disney actually like modeled Disney World after a lot of Japanese theme parks and actually brought Japanese engineers to do it. So I agree. If anybody could do it, it would absolutely be Sony, because Japanese culture, like that's where theme parks can just take off.
An Uncharted minecart ride. You would have some weird VR thing for like God of War. You could do a lot. You could do a lot.
Yeah, Mario Land is 100% at Universal Studios in Japan. So. But I know what you were saying.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah.
All right, so I thought of a good question to maybe end this topic on if you want.
Sure.
All right, so you have to fuck, marry, and kill Microsoft, Nintendo,
Jesus
and
Christ,
Sony.
Travis.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, so I'll go first on this one. So I'm gonna marry Nintendo, because as much as I've been hating right now,
it's safe, right?
it's safe. It's safe. You know that quality you're getting. It's safe. But dude, I'm a fuck with some Microsoft. Is all I'm gonna say, right? I like what they're doing. I like that wireless service. If I had to kill anybody, it would be Jim Ryan. So yeah, that's where we're going. Actually, we can redact that if we want. Because I don't want to make actual threats on a podcast. I don't mean that. I'm glad he's leaving.
I didn't mean to come here and cause chaos. I just thought it'd be fun to talk about.
If I could kill any of them, it would be Sony. Because I think Microsoft would pick up that mantle of Final Fantasy. And 14's already on computer.
It's like
I already have it on all.
You like
stuff,
the outfits PlayStation wore? I can wear those outfits too, baby. It's okay. We can do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Microsoft would role play PlayStation for me.
Yeah, I agree. So I would kill Sony, fuck with some Microsoft, and I would marry Nintendo because it'd be safe.
That's about right. I would agree.
I would agree. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I've known Nintendo for so long. Me and Nintendo, we're very tight. It's as you can't walk away from all those years, you know. So it's, and then Microsoft. I mean, like I said, Microsoft can wear the PlayStation dress. It's fine.
Yeah, this might be a hot take, but I'm gonna kill Nintendo.
Okay.
I'm gonna marry Sony, and I'm gonna fuck with Microsoft. I do think, though, honestly, if you look at Sony and you look at Nintendo, I feel like Sony is very much adopting a lot of the way that Nintendo thinks about themselves, and I find that to be very scary, and it makes me sad.
What do you mean?
Like, a lot of their, like, we don't need to do anything. Like, we have I think they're so hung up on thinking they have the best exclusives across all consoles that they don't need to do anything outside of just the IP that they have established right now. I just think they are playing it safe. I feel like PS4, the dawn of PS4 was like when a lot of indie studios really came through, and that was a lot of the library, right? And then they have some exclusives, and I felt like the peak for me, I think what I think the peak for Sony was Last of Us, and I think Horizon is good as well. But I think they're so high on their horse about like we can't do no wrong because our exclusives are so good that they're failing to innovate. That's what.
Yeah, I kind of get what you say. They're going to be safe though. They're always going to be safe because as long as their hardware is top tier, other companies are going to make things for all consoles, and it's always going to run on PlayStation, right?
I guess.
So.
Yeah,
I think they're going to save like that.
My biggest hype was Sony. Like, I love their exclusives. Like, you know, that's typically the exclusives I typically play the most. It was Nintendo for the longest time. But their online service compared to Microsoft is just like their whole service offering at Microsoft just is way better than anything Sony. Everything Sony's done online service-wise is half-baked, in my opinion.
I will be interested to see what happens with Sony in 2 years' time. Right, because we do know Jim Ryan has announced like he is retiring, he's moving on. So it'll be interesting to me to see what do they keep. So like what was Sony like in their DNA, and what was Jim Ryan? Because I think that he had a lot of influence. Obviously, had a lot of influence, but I think he made a lot of business decisions that were good for the stock market and not good for the consumer. And I'm interested to see if Sony goes more towards the consumer again, because if so, it would be a great day for gaming.
Sure,
and I just don't know which was him and which wasn't.
I think
that's what I'm holding out for.
Yeah, I think them still having Shuhei around is a big plus. Mm-hmm. I think if Shuhei was already gone and you're losing Jim, like Jim's not the greatest person in the world, but like he did a lot of good things for Sony as far as like what we got from them, and Shuhei is like Godfather Sony. Like he's like the secret boss that like no one talks about. Like he's still there, but he's really making the calls. Because he works with all the first party.
Yeah, I think that's. Oh, go ahead.
I think Jim Ryan was smart in starting some of those big acquisitions and making some of those deals, but I also think Jim Ryan had a really big push in the way the cloud service works. The fact that handheld is a great handheld, but only works locally. So like you still have to pay for the online service and buy other devices. I think just a lot of those nickel and dimey things, not giving refunds on the PlayStation Store, not acknowledging the fact that the controllers had like actual issues with the haptics and you're out.
Battery life. I
think a lot of that was him, right? Battery life. So I'm interested to see what happens when he is gone.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest reason I chose to marry Sony is I feel like they will be first to go towards consumer before Nintendo, I guess is what I was trying to get at.
So you're looking to change her a little bit. You're looking for somebody
with a little bit
of baggage, playing the long game.
He wants to fix
her.
Yeah,
wants to fix her upper.
Yeah, because I honestly think, I mean, there's other companies I know that I won't say that are very much, and Alex and Preston, you both know, that very much are like, this is my ball. If you don't like it, I'll just take it home. And those people typically... people typically don't surprise you very often in regards of like things you want to happen that don't necessarily happen that you feel like would be for the good. They're very much, this is my lane, I'm staying in it, this is the line in the sand, I don't care what you say, I'm not going to shift the way that I think or that I look at things. And I'm holding out that Sony is not going to be that way, whereas Nintendo, I just don't see them changing their views on certain things.
Yeah, I think Preston and I win first love, true love.
Yep.
First console was a Nintendo. First video game I ever played was in like the classic Nintendo at a neighbor's house who used to watch me as a kid. So I'm marrying that first love.
Yep, have to.
Yeah, I do have a question for you, Alex, and it's something we talked about yesterday, and this is the last thing I'll say, and then I'll shut up the rest of the podcast, I promise. But I know. God,
it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. No, I'm just gonna
shit. Our conversation last night was so good around like some of the moments that we've had in video games and wanting to relive those moments. I would like.
So now he's like, tonight sucks, so we're gonna save it by another time.
I say last time, I can say now and get a second try.
No. Tonight's been a great conversation, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, like, what was the one video game experience that you wish you could forget and experience all over again for the first time? Because we got to share ours on the last episode, and I would just like to know what yours is.
Mine was 13 Sentinels.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mine was DayZ.
I could tell you movies right out the gate. Travis, I know you and I talked about this earlier. We were reminiscing on DayZ was a big one. So I think I've told this story before. I'll say it briefly, but like there was a time we were playing in DayZ when we were heavy into it. We had another friend, Phil, that played the game with us too. And we were just like running around in the forest, and we heard like in the headphones like a chopper, like, and literally, I remember being in my room just like, in my head canon, I would imagine like I was just like looking around my room like, oh my gosh, what's coming? But really, it was just like mass moving the mouse, like looking around like crazy. Because in that game, like no holds barred, man, like if you're dead, you lose your character, and it was very lonely, and it wasn't a big game. It was a big game at the time, but like you're not gonna have 30 people on a server, 400 people on a server. It's gonna be like 6. So if you ran across one of those guys, it was scary. And if you ran across one of those guys that had been playing so long, they had found themselves a helicopter. It was a bad day. And I remember like legitimately like sweating and nervous running to the edge of the forest, and it like we went in the field and we dropped down, and once it passed over, it's like, is it gone enough? Run to the forest. We made it to the trees, and that was awful. But I remember that. Anything with that game, anything else I could experience again? There are games like, and I don't know the whole games, but like moments in games that I don't think I'll ever have a chance to experience in something else. So like Hellblade, we mentioned that earlier. There was one moment in that game that I distinctly remember that I wish somebody else was creative enough to make this so I could see it again. But you're running through the forest to where the boss is like this kind of bird type boss, kind of like turns into feathers and then like appears and throws knives or whatever. But going through the forest, you would see people in the background, and they would be like up against trees and other stuff. And the closer you would get, you would realize they were actually just like totems that were made out of wood and made out of sticks. And just like the way that game played with your mind, both audibly and visually, was something I would love to experience again. You can't do it because if I play it this time, like I know what's coming, right? The only other thing I would like to experience again that it was scary, so I don't really like it, but I would love to go back to that moment, was when Preston and myself were watching Christian play Resident Evil Village, and he was in the dollhouse. And dude, when that little like gummy baby fetus popped out, like I have never heard 3 grown men scream like that at the same time. And like typically we don't see Christian panic at anything. Like when he plays video games, I think it's safe to say like he's the best video gamer out of the 3 of us by far. Yeah. Like whatever game we play, he's always going to be better than all of us, right? But to see him even like turn around and just sprint down the hallway, like also scared, was a pretty awesome moment for me. Just because it was like we were all experiencing it at the same time. So I would say that. Hearing you say that reminded me of did you ever play the PT teaser on PlayStation? No. Dude, I'm such a baby.
So Christian and I were part of a different YouTube video group one time, and they forced me to play that in VR.
Oh no!
I don't like spooky games.
Christian, I'm not gonna say he gets off on that because he doesn't do it all the time, but like if he has VR, because he did the same thing to me. He's like, you have to try this VR, and he will let you play the fun games. But he goes, first you got to check this out. And for me, it was Resident Evil 7 in the cabin, and you go through the water, and he knew. And in the first 4 minutes, a dead body floats up out of the water in VR. And it was awful. It was awful.
It's bad. I don't think PT was in VR, but I think I just played it like normal on the screen. It was just I was so immersed in that fucking shit show of a scary thing that I just blocked out all periffs and fucking was afraid for weeks. Nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
I did not beat that demo, by the way. I didn't do it. No.
Wasn't it only like 20 minutes long?
Doesn't matter.
It wasn't even long, was it?
I did, but there was kind of like a puzzle element. And then at the end, you got to see Norman Reedus, and you're like, what the hell is this? And then you realize it's a teaser for Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know if that game ever came out. Yeah.
No, because they let Kojima go.
Yep.
So, awesome. Well, next time, we will actually have Metro beaten, or depending on when we record next, maybe Metro will have come out just before this. Well, I don't really know yet. It'll depend on how our producer over here decides to release these things.
I got a wedding to go to next week, so probably these 2 in a row.
All right. So then next time we will have come back to Metro.
I think we will. Yeah.
And when we come back to Metro, again, will be when I announce what game I am going to have us play, which I'm 99% sure I have. So if we would have done this 2 weeks ago, I would have been like, this is the game we're playing. Gotcha. So I don't think I need more time. I'll probably actually just screw myself up if I try and think of another game. Fair. But I think I know where we're going. So thank you all for hanging out with us, Travis. Thank you for doing a whole testing room takeover, which is absolutely what we should call these, by the way.
Yes.
A testy takeover.
Don't say testy. Testing room takeover. Stop. Don't do that. Travis, do us a favor. Please promote your show, because I was an asshole host and did not ask you to do it. I mentioned it when I did the intro with you. I said you're from Nerds with Mics or whatever. But yeah, it's...
Oh, you're fine.
Just go ahead.
Jake has been on our show so many times that I have him do it every time.
I know.
Or I do it for him every time.
I know.
So we apologize.
No, it's fine. I do a podcast called Nerds with Mics. We have a YouTube channel. You can find us on pretty much any platform. We've actually been on a hiatus for the past month, but we're actually getting ready to start back up, I think, next week. So we'll be back on a regular weekly schedule.
And you do it live.
If you want to come over. Yeah, we were doing it live, but I think we're going to pivot from that because I'm not a big fan of live. So
just to say, I
certain
enjoyed
topics,
the live events. They did a trivia, so if you want to engage in some of those fun nights, they did a trivia night, which is really fun. The instructions were confusing, and I was dominating everyone in trivia, but I was apparently not following the rules and just throwing it out without buzzing in. So
yeah, anyway. We'll do another trivia night, and we'll make sure to let us know, and then maybe we can do one of those Twitch takeover things or whatever sometime.
Sure. Yeah, it was fun.
But yeah, it was fun. But thank you for having me on. The past two episodes I've got to be on, it's been really good dialogue and good conversations. And Alex, I think this is the first one I've ever been on that you've actually been here, because both times I've filled in for you. So it was actually nice to sit down and be part of a conversation with you for a change. So
is it the first time you've been on here with me?
Yeah, you were in Japan last time.
Okay, we talk all the time, so it's just,
I know. It bleeds together.
I know.
It's just that it bleeds through. So. All right, everybody. Well, again, thank you for hanging out with us. Travis, thank you so much. Travis from Nerds with Mics. Check that out. They also have a website that he did not promote, but I'm sure you can find it by just Googling Nerds with Mics.
We just released a Spider-Man review, by the way, if you want to go read it. It's on. Yep.
So give that a look, and we will see you next time with that. Preston, you know what to do.
Hit it.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If watching is more your thing, check out youtube.com/thetestingroom or Twitch TV/testingroompod. To leave comments and ask questions, follow us on Instagram @testingroompod and email us at testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.